My name is Darribion Dixon, and I am finally here to present my project. The never-ending doom of unrealistic, hypersexualized, kinky-ass looking comic characters. I am like the third person to go over this topic, but by far, my slideshow is going to be the most interesting, I can tell you that. I will be reviewing the entire history of it, where it is now, and how much of a toll it has on the internet and fan bases. Why are comic characters so overly attractive and revealing? Well, the answer to that is it's a common technique that many comics use to mess with the viewer's mind and get more copies sold. It is a natural function of the mind to be naturally drawn to things deemed attractive, and comics use this to attract as many buyers as they can by having extremely revealing characters, especially when it comes to cover arts, because as the common phrase goes, sex sells, and many comic series use that rule to their advantage. That's why for many years characters like Wonder Woman have been fighting crime in tiny skirts or very tight thongs. I don't know people's obsession with thongs, but they are very common on female superheroes. Mangas included. If you didn't know, manga's just fucking comics in Japanese, by the way. Oh my goodness, an example is Kill la Kill. If you know, you know. That's like the most revealing shit I've been forced to watch in my life. Not by my own choice, by my freaky ass friend's choice. Slide 2! Why are comic characters so overly attractive and revealing? Dude edition. Gender equality, baby. Ooh, I've been excited for this one. It's pretty much like the same damn scenario I just said, but roles reversed. Guys instead getting naked. Yeah, you can't tell because my microphone is focused on my voice, but right now I'm rubbing my hands together. Yes, male characters go through the same thing. It's just like not talked about as much. And if you ask me why, I will put the blame on Nightwing's hypnotic butt cheeks. But in all seriousness, this effect actually has a name. The comic community calls it the rule of sexy. And I am not joking. You can actually look at this shit up on the internet. It claims that if both the male and female characters are equally revealing in a story, it's not demeaning towards one specific group, and it slides. I don't know, man. It's a name and description that comic fans came up with in the 90s and early 2000s to explain the overly erotic male and female characters as an attempt to try to give this weird phenomenon an actual name for once. My favorite example of this being JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, peak anime. WTH is fan service, you ask? It is an internet slang term developed by fans of comics in the early 2000s to describe overly erotic scenes, character designs, or moments simply made to please the fans and what they wanted to see. As an example, there's the scene in Naruto where the main character, Naruto Shippuden, accidentally out of nowhere trips and falls into a deep, passionate kiss with the other character, Sasuke Uchiha, mainly because the fans will constantly ship these two male characters together. And I don't know, the writer just wanted to please what they wanted. This is why some people think it's actually fans to blame, and the reason why characters are so revealing and sexualized due to it simply being done to please the fans and what they want and consume the most. Yikes. Time rewind, origins of overly attractive comics, 1930s to 1950s. The 30s and 50s, damn near 100 years ago, where revealing comic characters first appeared, like Catwoman, Wonder Woman, and Robin first appeared, were considered the golden age of comics. Robin at the time being only 10 years old, wearing a thong-like leotard with very crazy buff thighs. Okay. Many people think this era of comics started the trend, but in reality, things like this, revealing characters in forms of art, go back way further. A popular example that people point to is a statue called the Venus of Holothels. I don't know if I said that right, but you know. It is the oldest nude figurine, dating back to 40,000 to 45,000 years ago, created in ancient Greece, who are known for their excessive nude statue sculptures of very chiseled and muscular men in meditative poses. I guess our ancestors were also some articulative, pervy motherfuckers, I don't know. The 1980s to 1990s. This was the period in comics where they really embraced the part about the unrealistic body proportions. As you can see with the image of Captain America, he has a chest that pushes out way too damn far, like he benches fucking semi-trucks or something. And many female characters had very unproportionate thighs that would be impossible to have in real life with a stable spine. Over half of the female characters in the image I have shown below wearing thong-like costumes. The only one actually wearing like a full like suit being Invisible Woman. Ironically, the character that goes invisible. Okay. In this period, people's voices about characters being underrepresented in comics became louder. Many people claiming that these characters misrepresented the cultures and messages they were actually supposed to be presenting through their comics. And even many children's parents showing backlash towards Marvel and DC for their quote-unquote family-friendly superheroes being so revealing. Why it somehow works and brings in the bread for comics. Manga and comic fans are usually ride or die for the series that they enjoy, usually being over-dedicated and a little too attracted to their favorite characters. A popular joke on the internet being people claiming fictional characters as their wives/waifus or husbands on the internet. Oh my goodness. Comic conventions are very popular, like Comic-Con for example, bringing in tens of millions of dollars each year. And the conventions, it being popular for the fans to cosplay as their favorite characters, completely ignoring how revealing the damn costumes are. I guess they're cool with it. I guess the comic studio strategies worked. What the hell have you done, Marvel? I remember once on TikTok, I saw a bodybuilder guy cosplaying as Flambe from Dispatch. It was awesome. It is not just comics affected by this, it's everywhere. What about the children? Nah, I'm not screaming that. In reality, kids don't give a flying fuck. They make up around 20 to 30% of the entire comic fandom. Me, myself, I remember getting into comics and I was like, I think in the second grade. Been like a big fan ever since, favorite superhero being Deadpool, of course. But back to the main topic, overly attractive characters are everywhere now, from video games to TV shows. For older TV shows, it was a big trend to give the main character's mom a very large butt and a very tight waist. That image in the slideshow is one of Dexter's mom from Dexter's Laboratory bending over and it saying Daddy's Trophy on her butt cheeks. That's a real image, by the way, screenshot from an episode. A great example for the video game half of this is the old game Mortal Kombat 9. I used to be a big fan of this game, by the way, when I was a kid. But in this game, it has a fairly large roster of over 50 characters, half of them being female ninja, who all have swimsuit-like ninja costumes and very curvy attributes. Another very popular fighting game that did something like this was Street Fighter. One of their most popular characters being the Chinese kickboxer Chun-Li, who used to be very beloved by fans due to her overly large and strong thighs. Holy shit. Only being toned down a little bit in Street Fighter 6. But not much ever since then. Why in some cases people prefer it this way? In 2022, the Hershey's company rebranded their green and brown M&M character for the commercials to be less targeted towards men's gaze and more just regular characters with their own personalities and changing their design up a little bit. This caused outrage and protest online, with people quote-unquote being Hershey fans craving the old designs for these characters to come back. Wow, bruh. Also, with immense crowd commenting and posts to bring the M&Ms back. Brother, where has humanity come? Jesus Christ. Luckily, the Hershey's company did not care, and the green and brown M&Ms kept their new designs. But a similar situation like this happened in 2021 when the movie Space Jam's New Legacy, a sequel to the classic movie Space Jam from the 90s, was released. The sequel took a lot of backlash from fans due to Warner Bros.' decision to redesign the character Lola Bunny, who had been portrayed as highly flirtatious and sexualized in the previous film. In the sequel, New Legacy, she was reimagined as like a more, athletic and charismatic basketball player. But, people did not like that. They was like, oh shit, I want my busty Lola Bunny back. And it literally caused the movie to be a box office crash and have very bad ratings. I am not lying. Okay, it underperformed for many reasons, but people like to say, bring Lola Bunny back, that's the reason the movie series died. No lies. This is an unstoppable force of impending doom that ruined things like M&M's and Lola Bunny. How should we as society deal with it? Ah, yes, there is no savior. Fan service is the new god. I am playing, of course. I'm just playing it. Only Jesus. In all seriousness, though. One way to look at medias with flashy, unrealistic, sexualized characters is to simply not take them too personally. It is common knowledge and not let stupid shit take up space in your brain after all. You should never compare yourself to a degrading fictional character that only exists on paper. This all started as a way to promote superheroes that are supposed to have positive messages by making them visually appealing just so you would pick up a comic book. But you know, businesses always gotta take shit too far sometimes. The characters were made overly beautiful in order to inspire you to be like them and believe in the message that the comics and stories that they're in are meant to deliver. For example, a moment where something like this was impactful for my life was the anime Baki. In it, it's like all the main characters are like very buff men above the height of freaking like 6 foot and shit, oiled up. All of them freaking immensely skilled at martial arts. I watched this anime all the way from middle school to like last year, 11th grade of school, and I loved every second. I never compared myself to the characters and felt bad about myself for being a little chubby back in the day, but it pushed me to be a massive fan of martial arts and working out and working on myself mentally and physically. I'm still just 5'7", but you know, now at least I know how to throw hands. You know, I'm not chubby anymore. Although I do miss being chubby. It was good times, you know. Being chubby, it was good times, you know. Chubby people, you're beautiful too. Watch Steven Universe. It'll teach you all about that. I'm telling you, peak show right there. Another gem that helped me like learn how to love myself. Although it did have a few moments of fan service through characters like Garnet, some people claim. Or turn off all connections to pop culture and society, go Amish, and turn to Jesus Christ. Honestly though, you can't get offended if you completely disconnect yourself from it. Plus, it's cool as hell in the Amish parts of Idaho. I would recommend. Okay, bye. Project over. Thank you for listening. Jesus is key.